few months ago, I did a study on depression in men, measuring depression in men. And the study was done in November to December of 2022, using a sample of 1,067 Jamaican males across the 14 parishes. We found that there was a 32% of the Jamaican men had some degree of depression. Now, depression is not one of those popular things that many persons actually see as a normal part of illness, a normal illness. And some persons actually do not actually see depression until it actually reach the stage of suicide. But when the signals are actually pointing that there's depression, few persons recognize that such a thing is actually occurring. Now, how are males dealing with their current reality post COVID-19? Some of them would have lost loved ones. Some of them will have lost income. Some of them have lost employment. Some of them have lost just their social contact, their privileges, all of that they have actually lost. And how are many of them dealing with it? They are just not dealing with it. And instead of seeking assistance, and instead of some person recognizing that these persons need assistance, many times they're ostracized. And the real thing is missed. One of the sad things that I'm actually seeing is the gentleman that was said to be the most wanted in Jamaica in Clarendon. I have listened to his video, I've listened to his words, and I've observed his face and realized the gentleman was depressed. So what I want to do, I want to share with you a clip of what he was going through, and I wanted to see how nobody saw what the gentleman was actually undergoing. And he was killed by his friends. The system has been doing that for years, setting up men against each other. So when men become depressed, or even women become depressed, we are eliminated instead of the real issue being addressed. So I just want you to listen for a second as to what really transpired, for you to sort of understand what this depression looks like for a number of Jamaican men. So you just look at what it is I'm going to present to you, for you to sort of see what this depression looks like in Jamaica, because some of us do not seem to understand that this depression thing is real. All right. So here is a clip of the gentleman, and I'm going to actually just play it for you to sort of see his demeanor, his mannerism, and all of that, and listen to his words. Just listen to the venom that was coming out of his mouth. Understand in this case that this gentleman's head was not clear, and he was going through a severe case of depression that little or no one in his family or close friends understood, to have actually brought him to some psychiatric or some psychologist for him to get assistance. Here we go.
Put me in a batty boys. So could the mother answer the phone, me a call in a batty boy. A straight foot me a pull up in my father. Put me in a pussy. My wife dead here. Me alone talk to myself.
Before the video was shared, it seemed as if he sent out a voice note to family and friends, giving them a warning, a proper warning.
You hear me a call the dog. Bad man me a call and answer the phone. Dog I say sleep at night time, brother. Dog from the left out of the place and he will call back my bad man. Charge it. I tell this to my father. No pussy now go this me and get in, dog, especially my friend them, you hear that? Charge him, tell this dog. You get mad like blood clot, you go see me on the news. Anyway, at the same time, you see me get mad out and I come on the news, my father, every one of my friends have to go run, you hear that? I'm going to take it as a threat or anything I want to take it off, dog. I don't expect fool like couldn't be cheap, Mr. Dog. Get me, I say, I spend my money around on and do everything on dog. Charge me, tell you, I come from my life if I everybody boy. Anyone see me car pull up on the run. Clarendon most wanted and me that right now, yeah. Charge me tell you so dog. See, all I'm friend of me last time, town man, I call it today. Me never expect you to treat me say no town man, all what I go on now. Me never expect you to treat me say, yeah. Me see I roll with all your friend of me, I never hear you call me and introduce me to none of them, you know. Tell them say you got this and them sitting there and Charlie. But what's dog, every pussy I get busted on that Charlie. And they better kill me anyone who see me bust me pussy, my father. Put on your cup and get in the guts up, your father. Right now, me I drive and kill out the whole of my friend in McLaren and anybody boy when I mean to me. From my wife dead, me I suffer, you hear that? I mean, I want to beg you nothing bumbo, but me just asking and done, you hear that? Bad boy, watching the man, you hear me I say? Put that place.
Word Tune is your
So I'm saying to a number of us, did you see the gentleman's? Did you listen to the words that he's actually speaking? Did you realize that he was just downright confused? No, that is his way of actually saying to his very friends that he wanted help. When somebody can say it is a listen, my wife died and I'm suffering. And I come to you knowing, say, boy, listen, I've spent with you. I've offered you everything and you have given me nothing. I'm seeking for help. And then he can say, listen, man, I'm willing to kill out all of you. That was a clear case of not only depression, but the betrayal drove the person. So it was the betrayal and the economic stagnation, the economic missed opportunity, the economic downturn, the economic malaise that actually drove the person to a state of no return. That none of his friends, when they recognized what was happening, to have sought help for their friend. You know what I find fascinating in this world? It appears to me that most persons prefer to bury you than to show you love. And then there are some persons who are going to say, kill him. But killing is not the answer because there are 32% of Jamaican males in 2022 up to December that indicating that they are at different levels of depression. And there were 3.6% of Jamaican males who are at severe case of depression. It means that 4 in every 100 or 2 in every 50 Jamaican male was at the stage of being suicidal, at the stage of no return. And clearly, this gentleman was one such person. Why is it that society cannot see that men are equally hurting like females? This thing has got the better of me. And why it has gotten the better of me? Because I see it every day. Where there are so many males who are hurting, suffering, and at different levels of depression, and they are turned away. They are seen as outcast. The society's approach to these males, let's kill them. Is that the only solution? Is that the only solution? What is it that is going to trigger you off tomorrow? That's going to let somebody kill you. I want you to think for a second. I want you to look in the gentleman's eyes. Look in his mannerism. Look how he speak. He was hurting. He was hurting. And he got no help. I want to say something to you. Why this one reaches to me even more personal than others. Some years ago, I wanted help and I sought help from some family members. None of them helped me. And my brother took me in. And when he took me in, he let my wife came for my children. Children were living with me and him at the time. He let my wife came for the children and then he offloaded me. I'm going to use some nice terminology. He offloaded me. And then I realized that my things were on the outside. That means no longer should I actually go inside of his house. And I stayed on the road for about 2 weeks. When I say on the road, I mean literally on the road. And this happened to me about 7 years ago. Not long time, 7 years ago. Lost my job and everything went downhill. Now, one night I was in a half a tree and wanted somewhere to sleep, and nobody knew. None of my friends knew that I was having challenges, and I had a happy look on my face. I mean, I tried the very best to put the very best outside, and I was hurting. When I say hurting, I was hurting, not the last. I had little or no money to spend. So I went to a building, a store that was closed, and I was on the pavement sleeping. But what did I do? I brought a box and I put it on the pavement right below a hydrant, water hydrant. And I was sleeping in a box, in a huge box on the pavement. And I tap on the box and I got up, somewhat disoriented and actually confused. And when I got up, a gentleman said to me, and I realized that maybe it was a police or security. I don't know who the gentleman was. He said to me, I'm going to lock you up. And I said to him, sir, what does that mean? And I had a dazed look in my eyes. And he said to me, somebody broke this place last night. And why are you here? I'm going to lock you up. I'm going to call the police. I didn't know he was a police or not, but I think he had a gun on him. So I know that I did not know if he was a police or a security guy, but somewhere there, he was someone of the two. So during the time when I was actually speaking, he said to me, you speak intelligently. And I said, sir, I'm no thief. I have nowhere to sleep. And he said, what did you do? And I told him that I had gone to university, was having a difficult time, etc. And he said to me, okay, I'm not going to call the police because they'll lock you up. And I said, sir, please, I'm begging you. I'm no thief. I don't know what I'm. I just want somewhere to sleep. And he said, you can't sleep here. And I did not know what to do. I walked off and I went somewhere open where there's a tree. And I was close to the tree. I actually slept. I was cold at night. I was frustrated. I left there and I went to my aunt and I asked my aunt for assistance. And she called her grandson. And a cousin of mine was in England. A cousin of mine and I had done some planning as to how I was going to actually, be taken to England. And that my cousin in the Caribbean was going to assist me. No, my cousin should have actually helped me from London, and apparently she was having some challenge. I don't know what it was, and she was unable to help me. But the cousin that was in the Caribbean, apparently my aunt, which is his grandmother, called him and said, listen, don't help Junior. I'm called Junior. Don't help. And ladies and gentlemen, I was having it hard. I was at my wit's end. Nothing I was doing that was going right. I was extremely slim. I was confused. I was frustrated. And I wondered just what to do. Sometimes I wanted something to eat and nothing was nice. Nothing was appetizing. Nothing was pleasing. And there was no one to help me. Sometimes I went outside. When I went to the country, I went to a house that my brother and I built. And I would go outside and I would sit on the tomb of my grandfather. And I would say, grandfather, I need help. I don't know what to do. I'm frustrated. At some point in time, if I weren't careful, I'd have become suicidal. But there's one particular friend, Dennis Brooks, was always there for me. And it seemed like he knew the right time to call me to get me out of my depressive state. And he would. Sometimes I wanted to cry and could not find a tear in my eye. And I would say, God, what have I done you wrong? When am I going to get my break? That situation lasted for about 5 years. I've never reached a stage of saying I wanted to commit suicide. But sometimes I would not know where I am. I was just out of it. And I got no help from my mother. My mother told me that I'm a big man. I'll sit down on my bottom and be a man. And I tried my best to cope. My mother moved out of the house and left me in the house on the floor. And I slept on the floor, the cold concrete. On the night, I'm not sure what happened. Like this rat set on me the night. biting my toes, my fingers the night. And I just could not cope. I just did not know where to go, what to turn. Nobody was calling me. I was trying to go for work. Nothing happened for me. And I was just outright down. Sometimes I would actually go to Mandeville and walk, just try to get help. Walk from Mandeville to NCU and back. I just couldn't get help. I was seeking for help everywhere and anywhere. There was one particular individual, I won't call his name, where he had owed me 100 US, and I called him one day and said, "Give me something out of what you owe me." And he said, "Don't call him again. He'll call me." I was extremely low until somebody at NCU reached out and started to help me. Then this just gentleman from NCU was working at NCU at the time, director, I can call his name, is Steve Lawrence. He would give me $20,000 at least each month to give my sons to go to school. And boy, that touched my soul. I recognized that there was help on the way and their help was coming. And I struggled. I was so low. And he would talk to me, and there are some other persons, such as Professor Anderson, who said to me, "Listen, it is going to change." And sometimes I said, "Prophet, hard." He says it's going to change. What am I saying to you? I have gone through what the gentleman went through. But for some unknown reason, I did not go as far as he did. There are a number of men who are struggling and women. And instead of the society reaching out to help these individuals, our best approach is to kill them. You know the irony? We are Christians. We are God-fearing people. We are the first one to preach you into church and into heaven. And at the same time, we cannot see the signs of frustration, depression, and that people need help. I am so full. That gentleman really wanted help, like many other persons in our society. A number of persons are depressed because of varying situations. Instead of we helping them, our first approach is to kill them. This is all I have to say. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel as I continue to provide the trusted truth. Let me hear what you have to say on the matter. Let's have a discussion.